Welcome to the CEO Collaborative Mixer. My name is Drew Ware. I am the CEO of World Class Consulting, and all the things that you see here, I had a little something to do with it, and I am really proud because we asked and you all delivered. Give yourselves a hand, please. So real quickly, I certainly want to give homage and respect to all of our sponsors, and at this time I'll do that. Certainly like to thank BBIC, the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corp. Go ahead and give BBIC a hand. That's responsible for covering the costs, along with the amazing sponsors such as the Rays, Raymond James, St. Petersburg in the house. Some love. Where's St. Petersburg? The Small Business Development Center, Pinellas County in the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this show over to a gentleman that is well respected, not only in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and all of the counties. This gentleman here embodies anything there is to do with, you all ready for this? Bettering your best and figuring out a way that you can find your true greatness. This gentleman represents an entity that's been around for 35 years. I don't know why they don't advertise more of what they do, but that probably perhaps has something to do with the CEO. He's meek and humble, so he oftentimes don't want to really say all of what he's doing when it comes to outreach. Let me stand before you and tell you this is also a celebration of all of the Catch graduates. By show of hands, where are the Catch graduates in the house so far? Show them some love. To this date, we have well over 300 Catch graduates. And some of the accessories that you see on the table, and let's see, where is Tiffany Moore? Raise your hand. So if you see some of the accessories, she graduated from the Catch program. And real quickly, one of the two that we really want to feature tonight, which I'm really excited before I turn this Ferrari over to Mr. Lee, is we want to certainly bow and give respect to none other than Lanice Germany, which is the CEO of Livyo. Give it up. And also my man that is extremely humbled. He's a 9-year vet, played professional football, and he was very good. And he actually happened to also play for the Buccaneers and did quite well. Louis Murphy. Give it up for Louis Murphy. So at this time, I'm going to turn this over to some and introduce the others. None other than Eckerd Lee, the CEO of the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corp.
You know, sometimes whenever Drew introduces me, a lot of times I think he's setting me up. You know how you put people way up here and you kind of set them up for failure? So I think he also does that to challenge me. He knows that I don't like this stuff, right? And so he puts me in a position where I have to try to produce. And since I am a producer, I try to give the people exactly what they want, all right? But I got to tell you, I am absolutely humbled by you all being here, man. I am just overjoyed that you all would not think it robbery to join us on a Friday. This is the first Friday of a new year. Okay? And when we decided to do this on January 6th, it was like, man, that's the first week, people just going back to work, they're coming from out of town. The last thing they're gonna wanna do is come out here and do this, right? And you guys showed up. And we thank you all so very much because this is a pivotal time, not just for BBIC, but for our community. There are some fantastic opportunities that are going on all over the Bay Area. I mean, it is just utterly amazing. I am very fortunate to be involved in a lot of these things, at least from the ability to see some of the things that are going on. Every now and then people ask you your opinion and I get a chance to share my opinion, which gives me the ability to kind of see some of the things that are going on. And I can tell you, you know, if you can't hardly throw a rock in Tampa Bay and not see something new coming up. And so one of the things that they challenged me with is they wanted me to talk about wealth building. You know, there's this whole conversation in our community about wealth building, right? Well, I'm not going to give you a seminar on wealth building, all right? You got to pay for that to come somewhere else. No, but the truth is, I can't tell you, I can't change that wealth gap. I don't have money, the cash, the property to give you to help close that gap. But the one thing that we can talk about, and one of the things that the BBIC focuses on, is opportunity. And so we seek to close the opportunity gap. Because the way I see it, the reason that people create wealth is because not only do they have opportunity, but when they have that opportunity, they seize on it. And they make it happen, okay? Without the opportunity, they couldn't do that, right? So our goal is to make sure that we are aware of the opportunities so that we can close the opportunity gap. Now that's something we can work on. That's something that's tangible, and that can go into helping create more wealth, which would then at that point help close that wealth gap. Now you do recognize, I believe in 1619, okay, so you know that's a long time. That gap was created from the beginning, so it's not going to be closed in a very short period of time. So each of us, one by one, can help close that gap, but I think it begins with opportunity. So one of the reasons that we want to have this convening is to bring you all together. If you notice it says collaborative mixing. That word is not there by mishap. That word is intentional. This could not have happened this evening without what? Without collaboration, all right? For me to think that we could do this by ourselves couldn't happen. I need a Drew. Okay, Drew loves this, by the way. Y'all notice that, right? Yeah. Y'all notice, right? Okay, so when you find people that's in their element that love doing something, what do? You find a way to give them that opportunity. And he makes the best of those opportunities. But that's a collaboration. All of the people that you see, those different vendors, and by the way, please stop by, find out who they are, get their cards. That's part of the collaboration. That's part of the networking. Do business with them. As you do business with them, they grow. That's collaboration. All right? And with some of the things that are coming down the pike here in Tampa Bay, it's going to require collaboration because most of us won't have the ability to get involved and work on those things without collaborating. Whether that be coming to BBIC to try to get capital, whether that is coming to BBIC to help you get involved with a bank or getting our opinion about different projects, all of those things are very, very important, okay? So again, that's the occasion, is to bring you all together in a room and create collaboration. Get to know each other. I challenge everybody in here to talk to 5 people that they really don't know. Find out a little bit about them, exchange cards, set up lunch, and sit down and talk about what you're doing. Our CATCH graduates. Our CATCH program is one of our flagship training programs. And CATCH is one of those things we started about 5 years ago, and as Drew said, we've had almost 300 entrepreneurs come through our program. It is an intentional 15-week, 2-hour-a-week training program to help elevate individuals who are in business and want to take their business to the next level. And believe it or not, much of the stuff we deal with is very basic. Because many people get started in business and they don't take care of the basics first. We have people that's been in business 15 years, they come through the CATCH class, and they're hearing things for the first time with regards to how they set up their business. Why is it set up as an LLC versus an S corporation? You know, how do you do your accounting? How do you manage your finances? Which is a key part for me as a former banker. Everything begins and ends with finance for me. So if you ever come talk to me, make sure your number's in order. I've done that for 30 years. I'm going to interview you just from the conversation. If the conversation ain't right, well, you know, I'll sit your deal on my desk for about 2 weeks and then call you back and say we took a careful evaluation of Unfortunately, it didn't meet our parameters. I'm just joking, but that is what we do in the bank. All those other banks, y'all know we do that, right? You say no too quickly, people get mad at you. So you give them a slow no, they feel a little better about you. You know, so I'm just saying. So all my banking friends in here, they're sitting there going, man, you ain't supposed to tell people this. But seriously, so those are the kinds of things that BBIC does. I see Drew coming up. He's standing next to me because he told me he's going to keep me on task. I am going to be making sure that throughout the night, as we bring these folks up, that you have a little background about who they are. But I have to do this. You know, as I said, none of these things happen alone. There's some very important people that are involved with us. One of the people is my man Brent Everett back there. Brent, raise your hand. Brent is our Senior Business Development Officer and our underwriter. So yeah, I'm shifting everything to him. If anybody tells you no, it's because Brent said no. And no, but Brent will more than likely be the person that you'll talk to about any deal that you want us to take a look at and so on and so forth. I also have, I think, at least 3 of our board members here tonight. I see Corliss, Larry, Eric. You guys here? All right. Those are the folks, you know, that I have to report to. Those are the folks that tell me whether I'm doing a good job or a bad job. And I think they'll be letting me know one way or the other. That's the reason I did this tonight and invited them. So y'all got to make them feel real good, okay? Because this year was kind of tough. We had a lot of stuff going on. And I want y'all to tell them just how hard I worked, okay? So that's one of the things that you all have to do for me this evening. Let them know. Y'all raise your hands real high. Shake their hands and pat them on the back and say, y'all need to make sure y'all treat that man really good, okay? But no, they are the folks that kind of keep things rolling. Larry Whiting is with Seacoast Bank. He's a banker and a lender. We have Corliss, you'll hear from her shortly. She's representing Raymond James Bank. And she's the vice president of trust over there. She's with her husband, Kenny, who's also there. And we also have my man, Eric. Hey, now Eric is with, I know when y'all see him, y'all not gonna think he's a banker. Y'all gonna think he's stuff straight out of what? Is it still Jet Magazine? Y'all gonna think he's stuff straight out of Jet Magazine. But he is the head of SBA lending with Wells Fargo Bank. A very, very sharp banker. And you guys, I'm telling you, Wells Fargo has been in it with us from the beginning. And a large part of that is due to Eric being involved with us as well. I also have to thank people like Marilyn Turman. Many of you all, if you've gone through the catch program, you know Marilyn. Marilyn is our coordinator. She would have been here. Marilyn she's under the weather, but she has done a fantastic job with our catch program. But the first person that got our catch program up and rolling, and many of you all will recognize this name, was Taisha Scanlon. And with Right Turn Realty. And she was the one that kind of took that ball and ran with it. And so we have to make sure that we let her know. She said she might come. She'll be here. She'll be here, yeah. So we have to let her know that we did that, or else she's gonna be mad at me. And I don't want her mad at me. If y'all ever seen her mad, you don't want her mad at you, okay? But now she did a fantastic job, and many of our catch grads are familiar with Taisha. She was the one over the program when the niece came through the program. And so we have to make sure that we give her her due as well. And then we have just had so many people along the way. Drew already mentioned our sponsors. You see them, the Rays. These folks are going to be coming up, and I'll say something about each one of them as they come up. I'll go ahead and now and let us move forward with the program. But I just want to tell you folks, opportunity is where it's at. Please make sure you avail yourselves to the folks that are in this room and collaborate and talk to people, and let's try to make some things happen. And one of the things Drew wanted me to make sure that, you know, I told him, I said, Drew, we're going to do this thing. And where's Nikki Capehart? She always likes to sit behind the scenes. Y'all see her sitting over there, right? She told me don't say anything about her, but she know that's not going to happen. Nikki Capehart, you're in St. Petersburg, you know Nikki. NGC team is her company now and her organization. And Nikki has been with BBIC going way, way back. And actually used to be a tenant in our incubator when she was an entrepreneur. And Nikki was also a banker. And I remember Nikki back when she was a young banker, when we all were young bankers. And she really jumped in and helped us And you know, Drew did a fantastic job. He collaborated with Nikki, and they made this happen. So I want to thank them very much for doing that and partnering with us. Through that collaboration is how we ended up here at Eckerd College. And so I am just excited. When I saw her tonight, I saw Dr. Kanika Tomlin, you know, our former deputy mayor and chief administrative officer of the city. She's now here at Eckerd College. And from what I understand, when they talked about it, they said, hey, why don't you guys do it here? And I've never been here. But I tell you, this is beautiful. It is, and let me tell you, did God not do us justice with the weather? It was a beautiful sunset. For those of you all who got here a little bit late, it was already dark. For those of you all who got here on time, y'all saw the sunset out there by the lake. Okay? But it is beautiful. We have Tim Hancock and Jazz Time Band. They're going to be providing music for you out there. So I am just really excited. And also I got to say this. My sister is here. I need you all to buy wine tickets and beer tickets. Okay? My sister is a very important person, and she brought my first cousin. These women don't mess around. Okay? So I cannot have them here and they're not real busy. My sister was in the restaurant business. She had 2 Outbacks. Okay? And she was in the restaurant business before that. My sister was a math major in school. She was very smart. She's always been very smart. She always made it very difficult for me. So she's going to be counting the numbers for me. She's going to say, you brought me here and, you know, they didn't buy nothing. So you guys have to buy. It is a cash bar. We can't take MasterCard and Visa. But I've been told that right down there's an ATM. So the other thing I need y'all to do is go visit the ATM if you don't have cash and come back and get those beer and wine tickets. Because they convinced me, Nikki and Drew, well really Nikki, they said we needed to have something for you all to drink, all right? And so we ended up having wine and beer, and I need you all to drink because it makes you feel better. Okay? It makes you feel good, and then y'all can really collaborate. And Shaw, I see you over there laughing. You know, Charlotte is with Pinellas County Urban League, which is another one of our partner groups. I got to tell you, Charlotte, I see you laughing, but you know it's the truth, right? That's why she's telling y'all to do the same thing. So please, y'all go get that money if you don't have cash, go to the ATM and come back and get y'all beer and wine tickets. All right, I will come up with some additional thank yous right now. We're going to move forward because I know some folks have some time sensitivity. So Drew, anything else I need to do while I'm up here now? Okay. All right. So this gentleman that I'm going to bring up now, you know, we've had a few conversations over a good period of time, and you know, one of the things I love about him is he's extremely frank, and he's very transparent when he talks to you. One of the other cool things is he doesn't mind when you push back and give a little criticism. And it's always great when you have people that you can engage in dialogue like that. I'm one of those people that I don't care what you say, you know, you can criticize me, I'm good with it, you know, as long as it's respectful. If it's disrespectful, you know, it's probably gonna be a different conversation. But if it's respectful, I'm good with it, right? But I appreciate the way that he has his discussions, because he just kind of lets you give your opinion and all of those good things. And right now, these guys are in the throes, so I really appreciate him coming up. Mr. Brian All, president of Tampa Bay Rays. And this other young man right here, you guys might as well, if you don't know him already, better get real familiar with him, because this brother, he makes things happen, and he's a good friend of mine. Andrew Frazier with Best Source Consulting. He's been working with the Rays on this proposal. You all may have seen the presentation they did the other night, and they've been doing what? Collaborating, all right? And then they have a man, come on up here, all right? We're gonna bring the whole team, all right? Eckerd College, right? And he's an architect. I heard he's really good at what he does, okay? So we'll find out, because if everything goes right, they'll be designing something around here, okay? All right, go ahead, Brian, thank you.
Thank you. I was very nervous about following your speech, but I did get your notes on what to say, and so Al has done an extraordinary job this year as CEO. There's an ATM machine over there. drinks. No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. My name is Brian Ald. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay Rays. A couple of my colleagues here, I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. And we were asked to just tell a couple quick brief thoughts on what's going on with the Historic Gas Plant District and our RFP proposal. And so I don't want to take up too much of anyone's time, but we will be here. We're happy to answer any questions. I will be obligated to be as frank as I was described in those conversations, and we're happy to talk about what we're up to. In a nutshell, we're trying to accomplish three things. One, honor the legacy and the history of the historic gas plant neighborhood. Two, build an inclusive and equitable development. And three, make sure that we get all that done in time for opening day of 2028. And what I just want to leave this room with knowing is, from my perspective, there is no group that will be more incentivized to make sure that happens and happens properly than the Tampa Bay Rays. We are talking about and developing that 85-acre property in the middle of our downtown. It's kind of the equivalent of remodeling your kitchen and a bathroom in your house while you're living there with your cousin's family staying at the same time. And so we are going to have to get every single thing right in order to be playing baseball games in Tropicana Field, building a new stadium, and bringing over $1 billion of development around that stadium out of the ground at the same time. You can imagine the traffic, the logistics, the coordination is going to be a monumental task, and no one's going to need it to work right more than we do, which is why we are absolutely motivated to do it. The other thing is, once we put a shovel in the ground, we are here, period, for a minimum of 30 years. And so, thank you for the applause. But I want to see it as a way to remind you that whatever happens with interest rates, however the economy shifts, whatever goes on with surrounding businesses, we are still going to have to successfully execute this project, and we're going to be motivated to do it, and we're going to have that 30-year timeline horizon. And that's why we brought in some of the partners that we brought in to make sure that we can execute that, and execute that really well. And so I'm going to turn it over, who first? To Avril, our architect first.
Thanks, Brian. Good evening. Good looking room tonight. Glad to see you guys. I give you greetings as one of the 3% licensed African American architects in the United States. I appreciate the applause, but it is a shame there's only 3% of us that are licensed here. In the interest of talking about collaboration, one of the things that we learned when we were in DC, the 3% of us, we sat down in a room, and Sharon Sutton, who became an architect in the middle of the civil rights movement, said to us, "You who are firm owners, don't ever only consider individual success. Always consider your community." I joined the Rays, and I joined this team because I want to consider the gas plant and bringing together our community and collaboration. I want to make sure that my firm that's 12 can grow to 40 and be with people who look like me. I want to make sure that in my skills of understanding history that we translate and make space that honor us as people and our sacred sites as Black people. I want to make sure that when we think about housing, and housing not only on the site but housing off-site, that we are creative and use my skills in other parts of the country of making houses that are dignified and something you're proud of, that don't look like affordable housing but look like proper housing for us. So this project, I see myself, I see my daughter who's 8 years old, and she'll be able to be a benefactor of it if and when it were to happen. So we're looking at generational wealth, environmental stewardship, and we're looking at our community, and we're being inclusive. Thanks, guys.
Note to self, never follow an artist. My name is Andrew Frazier, President and CEO of Best Source Consulting, and there are a lot of familiar faces in the room and a lot of unfamiliar faces in the room. A little over a year ago, I invited both Brian and Avril to an event that I was performing for my wife. And after the event, Brian was like, "Wow, you guys put this together in such a short amount of time, and it was so elegant and everything looked good." He's like, "Well, how did you find all these vendors and who are they?" Lanice was there with Livyo's as one of our caterers and did a phenomenal job. And I said, "Well, Brian, every vendor that you saw here tonight, including the venue, was a Black woman-owned business." And he was like, "Are you serious? How did you find them?" Like, bro, it's intentionality. About a couple weeks later, he called me over to the Trop, and we sat down and had a meeting. He said, "Look, we need to do things better as the Rays, as it relates to supplier diversity, as it relates to what we're doing with sustainability, as it relates to how we do our procurement processes. Like, how can you guys help us do that? And they retained our company. Fast forward 8 months later, and I get another call from Brian about an RFP to redevelop the gas plant district. And the one commitment he made to me was that not only are we going to continue doing what we're doing for the Rays, we're going to step up and do something a little bit more. So for people who are not familiar with the RFP, it's roughly a $4.5 billion project minus the ballpark. And the Rays and Hines, who are the lead developers, have committed $50 million towards what we're considering intentional equity. Of that $50 million, I am looking forward to working with Mr. Outwardly, twisting my arm, you board, on really helping use TBBIC as a conduit to help develop more black talent. We want talent available once the shovel goes in the ground to make sure they have access to some $500 million that we're going to have just strictly for black-owned businesses that come right here from this area. We want to develop talent to occupy 1.3 million square feet, is that right, worth of office space? We want businesses like Livyo's to have storefronts, so they're not having to go sit down and have a nice meal with a band that sits. So we have $13 million allocated to what we're calling the restorative enterprise. That's specifically for business creation, mentorship, and we are really looking forward to hopefully getting everyone's support here. We need it. The mayor's making a decision on January 30th, and the last person, if you've ever been to a campaign speech, Senator Roussan, this is the ask. This is the ask. The ask is really for your support. As Brian said, once the shovel goes in the ground, they're here for another 30 years. And they've been great stewards and great community partners since their inception here. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And thank you all for coming in, man. I appreciate you guys being here. And as I go throughout, I see different people rolling in. I see my good friend Beatrice Farrell, my fellow rapper, Deuces Live, Main Street. Raise your hand. Go ahead. Go. Okay, so if you want to know what's going on 22nd Street South in St. Petersburg, ask the woman you need to be talking to right there. Okay. And we have Dr. Sandra Brown. She's here, folks. Let me tell you, this lady right here is she can't ease out of it. We serve on the board together over at the St. Petersburg Chamber, and she is our, well, she's the chair. She's the immediate past chair. But it's been so soon, she still like the chair. One more meeting. One more meeting. You know? So I thank you for coming out. And she's, by the way, y'all got to talk to her. She's an awesome lady. She is an awesome person to talk to. And of course, she didn't raise her hand. I called her name. She didn't raise her hand. But this young lady sitting in the middle right here, Dr. Thomas, raise your hand, let everybody see. That is a special talent. She is a special talent and a treasure here in St. Petersburg. I think almost anything she wants to do, I think she can do, if she hasn't already done it. So, and by the way, where did she go to school? I'm just saying, that's all. All right, next I want to bring up Ms. Corliss Taylor with Raymond James Bank. You all heard me introduce her earlier as one of our BBIC board members, but she's also with Raymond James Bank. I don't know if Teddy is here. Teddy Thompson is also with Raymond James. He's our person that works with our loan program that we have with Raymond James. Come on, there he is. Hey, y'all folks over there on the side, y'all come on around. Hey, just because y'all came, don't feel bad. Come on around.
You can come in the middle here, that's the point of the high boys. Come on in.
Yep, come on in.
Don't be scared, come on in.
So I wanted them to bring a few comments, but also here with Raymond James is Miss Renee Baker. And I'm gonna put her on the spot. She wasn't expecting to be on the program, but I'm gonna put her on the spot. Renee, raise your hand. All right. Come on,
As Albert said, my name is Teddy Thompson. I'm with Raymond James Bank. I'm a senior portfolio manager at the bank. I'm also a corporate banker as well. My primary role here is to lend money to Black-owned businesses in the Tampa Bay area. We've actually allocated about $20 million a year to lend.
Teddy, how much did you say you allocated?
About $20 million.
All right.
Area, so my primary focus is to speak to our Black-owned businesses and make connections and build relationships and get some money out the door. So,
And Teddy, how do they do that, Teddy?
popped out.
That's the way it works. That's the program we have. This is a program we have with Raymond James Bank. And that program was designed to work with BBIC to help get more money in the hands of Black-owned businesses. And it's been going well. But we need to elevate. It needs to go, I want to go bigger. We've done a few million already in the year and a half that we've had the program. But we need to elevate that. So if you're looking at buying real estate and want to buy a building, you need 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. Yes, I'm thinking big, not small. Then we want to be talking to you about those deals. You can talk to Brent or you can call Teddy. Okay? So please make sure we engage. People say they don't have access to credit. We're bringing these things to you. We're bringing opportunity to you. We need you all to take advantage of it.
Thank you so much. Just a few moments. I'm Corliss Taylor. I do trust estate and charitable planning for Raymond James Bank and Trust. And I tell you, I'll step back just a quick moment. When this collaboration happened with the BBIC and Raymond James Bank, to Steve Rainey's credit, the CEO, he got a board seat. And he reached out and said, I want diversity on the board. And I was honored, floored, and appreciative because now I get to partner with Albert and Albert. They don't need to tell the board how great you are. When you work with someone that is extremely passionate about what they do, it no longer is work. And it is an honor to come alongside and be able to reinvest in us, to reinvest in our community in ways that matter and make a difference. It is a privilege, but we need you to also partner with us. Teddy, it was great to see that he was here today, and we have the resources, but we need you, as Albert just said, to take advantage of the opportunity. It is here. Raymond James Financial has his hand in this community. You see us. We're here. We mean what we say. From volunteering at at-risk, underprivileged schools, all the way up to the United Way. Raymond James wants to support, and you have an advantage by knowing the people to contact to get that support. So we appreciate the opportunity, proud to be a sponsor, and it is a privilege to work with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And now we'll have Ms. Latasha Bender with the City of St. Petersburg. And our partnership with St. Petersburg goes way back. Years, well before I even joined the BBIC, and we continued that when I took over the BBIC about 10 years ago. And it's been awesome. I mean, Nikki was there, Dr. Tomlin was there, and they said, hey, y'all guys want to come back over here and make things happen? We'll partner with you, and it's been amazing. So, Latasha, we're looking forward to working with you guys. Come on up, introduce yourself, tell folks what your new role is with the city.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I was asked to speak last minute, but I have my talking point. What are we doing? Making sure we go to the ATM and get those drinks. So you're going to see me look to my phone because there are some important things that I want to make sure that I don't leave out. And one is that this is so important because there has not been a supplier diversity program in St. Pete in more than 30 years. And we have established the first ever Office of Supplier Diversity dedicated to increasing opportunities for women and minority businesses to work at St. Pete. Our office has been hard at work making sure that we get the proper staff to make sure that those opportunities are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So it's a really exciting time to do business with the City of St. Pete. So some of those things that I say I want to make sure that I don't forget to mention is that our legal department is heavily in the state of drafting an ordinance. They are being very particular to make sure that we are using best practices around the nation to make sure that we bring the proper opportunities and that we serve St. Pete in the most diverse way that we possibly can. So all I can say is that I look forward to serving the community. I look forward to meeting all of you. Many of you, I'm a new face, and all of your faces are new to me as well. So please do not hesitate to come and introduce yourself and, you know, make yourself known so that I know who you are, and we're looking forward to just doing business with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, folks, I don't know if Dr. Johnson, most of you all know Dr. Johnson. She is the Director of Economic Development for Pinellas County. I know she had another event she was going to try and swing by, but I know Corey is here, and Janae is here with Pinellas County Economic Development and the SBDC. You guys want to come up and tell folks what you all do? There he is.
Long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good. Good. As you probably know, I'm not Dr. Johnson, as you can see, right? But my name is Corey McCaster. I'm with Pinellas County Economic Development. I'm the division manager for the Office of Small Business and Supplier Diversity. And what we do in that department is provide opportunities to small businesses to do business with Pinellas County. On an annual basis, we see many businesses that come into the center and looking to have an opportunity to grow and expand their business, and in certain cases even start a business. But we spend a lot of time trying to direct small businesses to the opportunities that are with Pinellas County. If you look at now, in this time and this age, there is, like no other time, an opportunity to start your business and grow your business so that you can do business with the county. And so, in the past 3 years, our program has started out, we were serving, I think, about 15 to 20 clients in a year. Now we're servicing more than 716 clients, and on top of that, we have small businesses that have received contracts this year, which is unbelievable if you think about this. In 3 years, the program went from just providing $76,000 in contracts to over $28 million in contracts this past year. And so when we start talking about opportunities for growth and development to shrink that gap, the opportunity is there. And Pinellas County, unlike most other agencies around the Bay, there are opportunities to do business, and we support that and want all the small business owners to take a look at what we have to offer. So with that being said, I'll say thank you, and that's all. All right.
Corey has been doing a fantastic job since you took over that. What has it been now, Corey? About 2 years?
1 year.
1 year? Wow. Hey, that's just how much you've been working. I thought it'd been 2 or 3 years, man. All right, I want to bring up my man Ken Johnson. He said, "Hey man, I'm Ken Jones." Ken said, "I'm not gonna say anything." Oh yes, you are. I told him to be on standby. He's from Hillsborough County, and they're one of our partners on the other side of the bay. But you all probably remember Ken when he was over here with the city of St. Petersburg. So he lives here. Yeah, man, that's the man. So I got to bring him up. Come out here grabbing fishing when it was for the Presbyterian College. But good evening on behalf of Hillsborough County's government, Board of County Commissioners. I want to say hello and greetings. I'm Ken Jones, the Director of the county's Small and Minority Business Enterprise Program. And I just wanted to speak about 2 things real quick: collaboration and opportunity. As you heard Albert talk about a little bit earlier, it's all about collaboration. So we appreciate the opportunity to collaborate on this event, previous events, and events in the future. And the opportunity. Opportunities are abounding in Hillsborough County, just as they are in the city of St. Petersburg. You heard Latasha speak about their program. Pinellas County has a program that's doing well. Last year we did over $60 million with minority and small businesses. This year we've got one contract that we just closed on. It's a $265 million contract. We have a $40 million minimum goal of doing business with minorities on that. So there's opportunities throughout this area: Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, City of St. Petersburg, City of Tampa.
So that's collaboration on our part. We don't try to limit business opportunities for minorities and small business to just one of us. There's opportunities amongst all of us. And we try to make sure that you're aware of those opportunities. So please feel free to stop by, visit me. I'll be over here. Or you can give me a call or email me, jonesk@hillsborough-county.org. Any of you know me, if you see me around, feel free to just come up and say hello. If there's anything I can do to help you, answer questions for you, I'm all yours. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
And that's Ken Jones. Ken been around this stuff a long time, so make sure you talk to him, all right? He'll seem like he's quiet, and then when you get him to open up, he'll be able to tell you everything you need to know. All right, next this organization, is Gypsy here? Yes. Is Gypsy here?
Yes. She's in the back.
Hey Gypsy. So this next organization, folks, I gotta tell you, you know, when we came back over here to St. Pete and got more active about 9-10 years ago, there was a plan already put in place called 2020 plan. Many of you all are familiar with it. If you're in St. Petersburg, you have to know about the 2020 plan. And that evolved into one community. And I love that because I tell Gypsy all the time, she's a master at bringing people together and moving them in a direction, okay? And I've learned a long time ago, when it comes to her and Nikki and Taisha and Marilyn, all of them, I just do what they tell me to do, okay? And things usually work out pretty good, right? And the same thing with one community. Gypsy said, hey, we'd love to see you guys plug in and play this role. And we started off with that role and things expanded. So Gypsy, are you gonna come up? I want you to give them a little bit of background about one community. Pastor Murphy, Pastor Lewis Murphy.
So Pastor has graciously agreed to speak on behalf of one community.
Gypsy doing what Gypsy does. She always defers. She loves to stay in the background. Well, Gypsy, just know that we appreciate you. And you know, without you, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen. So thank you so much for being here. All right. And you know, I'm gonna tell y'all. You know, I don't have to tell you about Pastor Murphy in St. Petersburg. You already know about him. And it's just awesome to be around him when he comes in. Y'all can't tell me he don't have a presence when he walks in, does he? You know he's an important person when he walks in. Pastor Murphy.
Yeah, but I don't know what to say about it. Good evening, everyone. Listen, this is really a privilege to be here and to see all of you here tonight. This really is what it's all about. It's about us coming together and making life better for our people. That's what we've been doing ever since I've been here in St. Petersburg. My secular job was a purchasing agent, and I know how the disparities were in city government, and when it comes down to hiring minorities and calling them on to do business. But because you're being intentional and making sure that things are different, that will make the difference. There's several things that I want to say, but I know it's a lot of people have been speaking tonight. But let me just say that we've been in the trenches for a long time. It didn't start with 2020 plan. It actually started with Agenda 2010. And those that are here tonight that have been involved, Nikki, Gypsy, I don't see any of the other board members, but they have been involved for a long time. But where it really originated was a sermon. Don't ever give up on the black church. A sermon. A sermon was preached about restoring, rebuilding our community, rebuilding the walls of our community. And Gypsy Gallardo came and met with me the following week and showed me about a 3-inch document saying, this is how we do that. So we got started with being involved with Cohorts, the concerned organization for the quality education of black students, then Agenda 2010, then the 2020 plan, One Community, and now Equity Institute. And yeah, of course, we are part of bringing Sankofa, which is a housing project and a commercial business. But also, just trying to go back a little bit, we took about 25 or 30 young African Americans to North Carolina, to American Underground. and show them what it could be. If we just go ahead and come together, collaborate, and work together, we can. We've always been great entrepreneurs, great business folk. So it is critical that we continue to press forward to make life better for those that are coming behind us. Let me say that when we talk about the redevelopment of the historic gas plant area, Brian, it is critical. We will not, on our watch, let what has happened in the past. We're going to make sure, no matter who gets the bid, we're going to make sure that they deliver. Whoever gets the bid, they deliver on their promises to our community. That's critical. Amen. That's critical. So let me just say that I think and I believe that if we truly put our community, others ahead of ourselves, we can make a difference. We can impact our community like never before. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced that God has blessed us with all the great talent in this room, the great minds in this room. If we come together collectively, we can bring about an effective change for generations to come. Again, I want to thank you for allowing me to just address you for a moment. Am I supposed to be? That's really my role. My role is to talk to the master. Because when you talk to the master, talking to my name of your son Jesus, Lord, we thank you for being the great God that you are. Lord, you know why we're here. You know why we are collaborating. God, you know the history, the present, and the past, and the future. You know it all. And Father, we're just asking that things will be done right by all of our citizens. We're praying for our community. We're praying for our government. We're praying, dear Lord, for families. God, we're praying that real change will come about. We ask, Lord, that as we move forward, not to be selfish, but Lord, to be a humble servant, giving of ourselves to help others who are less fortunate. We thank you for those that have made this evening possible. We thank you for those who are attending. And if there's food to be served, we ask that you bless it. Let it be for the nourishment of our bodies, us into your service. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen.
All right. Thanks, Pastor, so much. We appreciate it. And folks, you heard him talk about Sankofa. If you don't know about Sankofa, I suggest you find out about Sankofa. It is a unique partnership between the city and 5 organizations. BBIC is one of them. Of course, One Community, Mount Zion, CDC.
Where is it located?
Oh yes, I told y'all anything you know about 22nd. You better see the address. It's on 22nd, right across from Manhattan Casino. We have Pinellas County Urban League and Charlotte and her team. So it is a collective. The CDC of Tampa, we're all partners in this project. It's 42,000 square feet. I think that's what it is now. In commercial space, and it's also going to have about 24 residential units right there in the core of South St. Petersburg in that 22nd, right on 22nd. Yeah, just making sure I keep repeating, 22nd Street. It's right there on that corridor. So you need to find out about that project. It is a great partnership with the city, something that was started during Dr. Tomlin's time with the city, and she helped usher that right on through, and we appreciate it. And so we're excited about what's happening down there. You see a lot of stuff going on down there now, so there's actually dirt turning. So now I want to bring up, that, by the way, it was orchestrated this way. I had Pastor come because the young man coming up next, well, he knows him a little bit. Where's LJ? Louis Murphy Jr., Pastor Murphy's son. I think Drew talked about him earlier. Come on up, LJ. This young man is an awesome young man. Not only is he a world-class athlete, was a great athlete here in the city of St. Petersburg, playing football. Went on to Florida, ended up coming to the Buccaneers. And I tell you, man, he's also now become a first-class entrepreneur. And I'll let him tell you about his business that he opened and did the ribbon cutting here just about a month or so ago. LJ, come on up.
How you all doing? Yeah, I definitely didn't know this, man. I didn't sign up to speak, so I'm definitely keep it short. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ware. Met him in the barbershop about 7, 8 years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
And man, I had one plan. It was plan A, go to the NFL. Didn't have a plan B. And in the moment of, usually barber comes to my house. I don't need a barber anymore, but the barber comes to the house, and I was down and out. It was I got injured, hurt, and went to the barbershop. They said a lot of magical things happen in the barbershop, in the black barbershop. So went to the barbershop and met the Energizer, the Maverick, the Dos Equis man, I could do everything. Met Mr. Ware, and he said, "Oh man, my man, he worth 300 million." I said, "Who?" I said, "You lying." You lying, Mr. Ware, tell the truth, man. No, I'm telling you, man, you show up 30 minutes early at the airport, I'm gonna introduce you to him. I said, all right, give me the address, man, give me a number. He was very dressed well. And then I had a Ferrari logo. I said, okay. And, introduced me to my mentor, Mr. George Tinsley. And that's been the story. And my goal, my passion is to bring healthy eating to urban communities. We grow up, you always had the McDonald's and the Burger King and Wendy's. So I invested in Tropical Smoothie, and I want to open up 75 like Mr. Tinsley, but it has to start with one, and I'm honored and I'm thankful. And also the next goal, one goal is to open up restaurants in urban areas to promote healthy eating. The second one is to create jobs for young kids and then also show them the way, show them another way than just sports, because sports doesn't last forever. So that's it. Thank you. And
stay right here. So on behalf of EBIC and all of the sponsors, we want to make sure he has a gift. And just remember, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, what's the location? Give me the location.
4621 34th Street South, about 0.3 miles.
I love it. Hey, let's go ahead and celebrate. Hey, come on, give it a hug.
I got to bring up this gentleman because many of you all know him. And he is our senator. But he also is an attorney with Rubenstein Law. And for any of you all that listen to WTMP on Saturdays, you all can hear him at 10:30 on WTMP 1150 at 10:30 under Rubenstein Law. But he's also our senator, and they're also one of the sponsors of our event. So if I could, please get your attention. If I could get your attention, I want to bring up Senator Del Russo.
I always, at events like this, I like to remember the 12th Beatitude that says, blessed are the brief, for they shall be invited again. I want to thank Albert Lee and the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Council for the work they've done in this area. And one thing I need to tell you is that Reverend Lewis Murphy, that's my pastor, y'all. And he means what he says. I want to thank you for supporting me all of these years. I just got re-elected to my 3rd term in the Corp. And the word tonight is collaboration. And I want you to know that history occurred, Frank. I had a meeting in Tallahassee Tuesday night with the only black Republican senator, and he sat with the 6 black Democratic senators because we realized that the 7 of us together can do more than one of us apart. It's about collaboration. And I want to thank Rubenstein Law. You know, they pay us $29,000 to be a state senator, and we haven't had a raise in 10 years. You can't raise 5 boys and 2 of them being rattlers on that type of salary. So I have to have a real job. My real job is one of the sponsors of this program tonight, and that's Rubenstein Law. 1-800-FL-LEGAL. Your premier personal injury law firm. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And now you know why my radio show comes in front of Alfred Lee's show. Because by the time you get to Lee, he talks you out. One of the things we do on my show is we highlight black-owned businesses. If you want to come on and highlight your own business and talk about what you do to the community, just get in touch. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting me. And let's go.
I see Representative Peterman over there. From Representative Frank Peterman. All right, and folks, I've got to, y'all heard me mention this young lady. I've got to bring both of them up, these 2 young ladies, Dr. Tomlin and Nikki. We have a presentation for Miss Lenise Journey. Come on up, Lenise. This young lady is one of the premier caterers in the Tampa Bay area, and she has been doing an absolutely fantastic job. And she is one of our CATCH graduates, one of our first CATCH graduates, and she has done a fantastic job. So Nikki wanted to make sure that we pay homage to her and have her, and she's going to give you a few moments and kind of talk to you about her experience after they give her this award.
We sit together, huh? It feels good. Show and prove. That's right. But we don't have to share employment to work together, which we will always do. Welcome, you guys, to Eckerd College. We are so very happy that you are here. On behalf of our president, Dr. James Anarelli, we are so pleased to welcome you here. It's not an accident, it's not serendipity. It makes absolutely perfect sense that this celebration of opportunity would happen here on our campus and be enabled by the St. Pete Center for Civic Engagement and Social Impact, where we are working to build bridges between our campus and our community. So you've been encouraged to learn more about each other. I encourage you to also learn more tonight about Eckerd College and understand the many ways that we can partner. And as you think about ways you can build your business, please think about the 2,000 bright minds, some of the brightest in our community that are being educated on our campus every day, who are waiting to work for you, to use their world-class education to lift our community to its highest potential. I am so happy. People have been saying, Dr. Tomlin, where have you been? I've been right here. Every day I say, where opportunities being created, there may I be, so I can do for others what's been done for me. And I'm happy today to celebrate someone else who shares that commitment. It's my honor to introduce our honoree. It's one of Eckerd's accomplished alums, a Triton who is making a difference in our community through her example of entrepreneurship and inclusive excellence. Please join me in congratulating Lenise Germany. She is an Eckerd alum, CATCH graduate, successful entrepreneur, and founder and chief executive of Livyo's Culinary Services. Lenise is tonight's Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation's distinguished honoree. As the CEO and founder of Livyo's, Lenise is the illustration of possibility. Her entrepreneurial success story starts in 2014 with humble beginnings that really show us all what is possible with dedication, commitment, and perseverance. Under her leadership, the company has grown from selling high-demand meals from the trunk of her family's car to servicing more than 2,000 meals per day for clients ranging from schools to rehab facilities. Livyo is even a preferred vendor for the USDA. Superior Service has carved out a wedding and banquet catering market for the company, and in keeping with its standing as a true champion, Livyo was one of 16 caterers featured at the 2021 Super Bowl. And Livyo, under Lanice's leadership, is just getting started. As a chef, Lanice is routinely lighting up the screen on ABC, NBC, and Fox television programs as she provides engaging cooking demonstrations that continue to build the excellent reputation of her business. Lanice serves on the board of the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce as a committee chair for the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce's Minority Enterprise Program. She's married to Omar Germany, the CFO of Livyo's, and mother to 6 amazing children. Lanice lives by her motto, she can do anything until she can't. And for all that she has done and all that is certain to come, and with special gratitude for the greatness with which she represents Eckerd College, we celebrate and congratulate her tonight.
Thank you. Anyways, where's the photographer here? Congratulations. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask just for your undivided attention for just a moment, only because I want to make sure they only gave me a limited amount of time. And for those who know me know that I can talk. So I'm going to keep it as brief as possible, but I do want to keep it super special. I'm honored for this moment. I really truly did not know what to expect. When Drew calls, you listen and you hear, and he is such a promoter and a cheerleader of BBIC. And it was like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then I get here and I'm like, there's no kids in the room, right? I'm like, oh shit, this is pretty important. I can say that, I'm a cussing Christian. The Lord knows my heart. The truth of the matter is, Livyo started on food stamps. That's the truth. When I was at Eckerd College, I was still selling meals out of the trunk of the car. The trunk of the car truly was a survival decision. I dropped out of my corporate America job because I pursued entrepreneurship, not knowing what entrepreneurship really truly was. And here we are 8 years later, and my journey on these 8 years has been absolutely incredible, that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that I am doing what the Lord has called me to do. Yes. I absolutely love what I do. You love what you do, it never feels like work. But I've gone through 3 foreclosures. I've gone through a son diagnosed with cancer who was 14 years old, battling for his life in the midst of a pandemic. And our business was also threatened, and we made the executive decision to not lay off a single person during the pandemic. I am you. I am you. I grew up on Section 8. I moved a lot of times. My father and I, my biological father and I, have absolutely no relationship. So there is no excuse for not doing what it is that you were supposed to do. When I came to Catch, I was desperate and hungry for knowledge. I was an entrepreneur. I called myself a business owner at the time. And we were not making ends meet, if I'm being honest. My credit was shot. Literally shot. We came to Catch, and Catch said, hey, we got all these classes, and we've got everything that you need to know about becoming and doing more, and all these promoter kind of things. And I sat in the classroom dead tired. My cohorts are in here, whom I love. I love y'all. But I sat in that classroom week after week after week, exhausted from being the accountant, the saleswoman, the cook, the delivery driver, the mama, the wife, the nurse, all these titles, all these roles every single day of my life, but I came to catch every week, partly because they required our attendance. And if I didn't complete it, then I didn't get the stipend that they used to give. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. But I will say that I learned so much. And during the catch, it was one particular session I'll never forget. Charles actually taught how to actually strategize and plan vision and execution of your vision. And one of the things that he said to me, to us, was to begin with the end in mind. And because of day-to-day challenges and day-to-day struggles, I didn't necessarily see the end. I just saw what I was getting up doing every single day. And so it wasn't until I got very clear in our vision and very clear, when I envisioned being an entrepreneur sitting at my corporate desk, my vision was huge. But I didn't have a person or a promoter or a sponsor or a mentor informing me and giving me knowledge on how to execute that vision. So here's what I'll say, and I want to wrap it up. But once I identified exactly where we were going and exactly what it was that we were supposed to do, I loved cooking. I was great at being a cook, but that wasn't my true gift. My true gift is being the CEO of this company. I teach my staff the recipes. For those of you who don't trust that, you better trust it. If you're not clear on how to get where you're going. I had severe trust issues in every square footage of this organization, to the point that I even lost some really great people in the process of my lack of trust. But I will say that the very first time, I heard the key word tonight was collaboration. And the very first time that we really needed funding for our business, the truth of the matter is it was Catch that actually helped us to get that funding by way of relationship at our community bank. That's the truth. $25,000 microloan, I'll never forget it. 5 years ago. Collaboration, Chef Mathis, Elite Catering, we collaborate. We met in one of these Catch mixers. We were vendors right next to each other. How many years ago?
5 years.
5 years ago. Chef and I exchanged contact information. We just kind of followed each other, hit each other up whenever we were struggling with knowledge and how to do. For those of you entrepreneurs who are successful and you don't share that information, shame on you. Share it. For people like us who are hungry trying to become successful, you have to give back what it is that you have earned and gotten over the course of these years. When we're overbooked, when it's not in our scope, and Lord knows I'm able to say not in our scope 8 years later, not desperate for business anymore, but when it comes to we're not available, you know what, this will be a great fit for that particular caterer. This will be a great fit for that particular person, because your network is everything. We exchange business. We collaborate on business. If I get a 500 people catering event, first of all, I don't want to do all that goddamn work. And I didn't say damn, I said darn. I don't want to do all that work. Hey chef, listen, need your help. I need 25 pans of mac and cheese. And together we shine. Yes. That's collaboration. Our company doesn't just perform weddings and banquets. That's how we started. COVID showed us that can't be how we end. During the pandemic, we made the executive decision to venture into doing school meals. School meals led us to rehab facilities, assisted living facilities. We make millions doing food service for charter schools, our babies who don't eat. We make millions from rehab facilities, drug treatment facilities. And mixers like this, and relationships like the SBDC, Corey was my pastor every week, teaching us how to do finances. But we ventured into cafe services. We now have partnerships with Aramark, When I got introduced with Aramark, it was the DE&I program at USF that actually set us at the table with Aramark and said, hey Aramark, y'all need to do business with this small business. And now we have cafes with USF at several of their campuses. And I'm coming into the tribe. And I'm speaking that into existence. And we're going into Raymond James, and I know the Bucks ain't here, but that's happening too. And we have several other projects, and I know some of y'all are like, look at this, where's Livyo's located? We're not really located. We have a headquarters. We have our cafes, but I assure you that soon it is coming where you'll have access to our food a little bit easier. But we actually enjoy getting to say no when it's not in our scope. For those of you who desire to do contracting, please, I don't mind sharing the information. I don't mind sharing with you how. We're not a restaurant. We are a food service company that is very different. That allowed us to be able to come from the trunk of our car to now employ over almost 30 employees, fleet vehicles, warehouse, commercial kitchen, offices. We're getting ready to move and expand right now, and it's growing. I am grateful. And the truth of the matter is, I'm you. I'm still you. I'm just becoming a better version of myself. And I love it. I do. So the name Livyo's is our children. Drew mentioned no, that wasn't Drew. Drew mentioned I had 6 kids. I got a lot of babies. But the name Livyo's is my daughter Olivia. I'm not Livy. I do get called her. Livy is our now 13-year-old. The O's are our twins, Olina with an O, Aubrey with an O, and our son Omar, who is healed. He went through chemo and cancer, but he is healed. I did ask for Drew to, I told him, hey Drew, listen, you know I'm a Catch graduate. Eckerd graduate. Gosh, Eckerd, y'all don't even know. Listen, if I'm being real honest, I fell asleep in a few of them classes from cooking them meals. World-class education. We started with food stamps, and just this year we are closing at $2.8 million. 2.8. And that's beautiful, but here's what I really want you to clap for, because the truth of the matter is you can gross as much as you want. But if you're not making money, and I learned this the hard way, and Corey told us the truth week after week. If you're not profiting money, then you are just busy being busy. You're not busy being productive. And this year, we have netted just over $500,000. I'm not a millionaire yet, so I do still need more lines of credit. I do still need more money. Banks don't tell me no, but we have positioned ourselves for them to tell us yes.
Hey Teddy. Hey Teddy still here? You need to be talking to
Come on, Teddy.
I got you, I'm gonna talk to you.
Kat, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the opportunity. I am honored, and again, I didn't know what to expect, Drew, so I sincerely appreciate you guys.
Stay put. Now, there's more. Hold on. There's more. So, Lanice called me and said she had applied for a loan with the Suncoast Credit Union. Oh, I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it. Because a setback is a setup for a major what? Comeback. Y'all better listen to me. She says, Drew, we qualified. I called Albert. Albert had someone on the board by Miss McKay. Was Melvin? Was on what board? BBIC. It's all about, y'all better feel this. It's all about relationships. I called, Albert called, she looked at it. Now she's the vice president. Senior now, senior. That's not what she normally would do. They gave her more. And, hold on, I'm done. After I say this, then you all can applaud. Not only did they give her what she needed, they made her company, Livyo's. You already, the official caterer for Suncoast. Credit.
Who needs ambassadors when you got Drew? That it is so many accolades and so many, it's weird because I'm so focused on where we're going, and oftentimes we don't get to celebrate the successes, because once you execute a goal, now you're on to the next. And so when you hear that the sky is the limit and there's no levees, like I don't believe in caps, I don't believe in ceilings. And so, but that's also a curse when you're not celebrating the milestones. And so there's so much more to this story, and I don't mind sharing. I do workshops, I do keynotes, we do so much. I'm not really too much in the kitchen anymore, so I don't even really consider myself a chef. But if you want to connect with us and you want to learn more about not just our company, because catering by default will be your caterer, we're geared based on strict relationship. Relationship is what leads to closes of sales. Genuine, authentic relationship. That is the key. It's also one of our core values. But if you want to know more about us, if you want to know more about our company, you would like for us to come and present, do workshops. I see Andrew, I'm Andrew's customer, actually. It's relationship, ladies and gentlemen. And I know y'all came here to network, so I'm not gonna hold you anymore, but connect with myself. Jalen is our director of marketing right here. Gina is somewhere in the room. She's our general manager. Oh, there's her hand over there. And of course, we have a vendor booth back here in the back. Some fried chicken, collard greens, and grits. I know them, and I know it's good. Okay, yes, so y'all can meet our team at the table. Drew just told me I can, the food has already been blessed, so you don't need me to pray over that. Let's eat.
All right, folks, thank y'all so much, and we appreciate you all.